Possibly 4 different varieties of figs, all growing under 10 feet. It's going to grow in a compact structure. Over here. So these are going to be like my 2 branches that will be growing in this area. So I'm already anticipating that in advance. So one thing. After we've severely pruned this fig tree. It's now October 5th, and we've now accomplished several feet of new growth, and almost a dozen new branches have been created. Hi, my name is Charles Malki, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants, and I'm here in front of my 7-in-1 fig, and together we're going to graft 3 more varieties of figs to this tree, making it a 10-in-1. And together we're going to add 3 varieties of figs using 3 different grafting techniques. So let's get started. So the first grafting technique I want to share with you is my favorite of all, being the approach grafting, which you can do pretty much year round, starting in late winter, early spring, through summer, and even early fall. That's a huge window of opportunity to be grafting your trees using, again, what's known as the approach grafting method. And the way we accomplish this, and again with all of these flavors, and let's just start around with what we have here being this variety over here, being the Panache Tiger variety of fig. Over here we have the green Cadota fig. Back here is the brown Turkey fig. This one over here is a purple smaller Celestial variety of fig. And then we grafted down here, and I want you to see this because I'm going to also demonstrate when we first accomplished this. But right here is the remnants of the graft, where again we did the approach graft of the Chicago Hardy variety of fig onto the Chicago Hardy we grafted right here, the green Isha, as well as the Strawberry Vert right there. And then we left 1 branch of the continuation onto that Chicago Hardy variety of fig. So we've got 3 varieties of figs right here. So what I want to share with you first is a method known as the approach graft, which is where we'll simply cut into a starter fig such as this, as well as the rootstock, and we're simply going to graft these 2 in place and allow them to heal for a period of about 6 to 8 weeks, maybe even up to 10 weeks. The cool thing is you can open up the graft and examine it and look at it and watch the callus that's forming between the underlying cambium tissues. And what's happening in the cambium tissues is that xylem and phloem that's moving the waters and sugars in that cambium layer. So when you bring those cambium tissues into contact with one another, what happens is the vascular tissue, the xylem and phloem, become one, and they basically rely on one another for nutrients, water, and all the minerals within the plant. So once that union is successful, you can then separate the lower rootstock. You can then separate the upper rootstock part of the plant and then sever the bottom part of the selected desired scion wood. And let's demonstrate and continue watching how that process can be accomplished. Check this out. We've got Chicago Hardy on this side, and we're gonna do the same thing. We started off in this cup, and then we've grafted this cup onto the rootstock, and we're now gonna remove the cup like so. We'll cut that off. And now we can still save this cutting to create another Chicago Hardy variety fig on its own root, but now we've got Chicago Hardy fig grafted onto a green variety of fig which has got a lot of vigor and will definitely produce a nice sized tree of at least 15 to 25 feet. And now we're going to remove the rootstock, which is competing with its branch. We're going to remove the rootstock like so. Let me get in there a little closer. And And now all of the energy and nutrients can go from the rootstock into the Chicago hardy variety of fig and now support this growth. And look at how cool this is. And again, this was a gift by Richard in Washington who gave me these cuttings. And thank you for that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the twine like so. We'll just cut that off. And now you can just see it, it's actually just letting go. Those wounds, because we're gonna wanna now make sure that nothing enters those cracks and crevices. This is the perfect entryway for pests and wood destroying organisms to enter. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna seal it like so. What we're also doing by also applying the product, whether you use colors white, brown, or green, which are the three colors the product comes in, what you're also doing is you're keeping the bark a lot cooler. And sunburn and sun scald are issues that actually damage the trees, branches, and trunks. So by doing so, we're going to keep it a lot cooler, and the plant can focus more so on growth and supporting fruits. So I've got a piece here of the raspberry latte variety of fig that we got from Jeffrey Upton's garden in Orange County, California, that was made part of the annual Ivy Organic Fig Scion Wood giveaway. And I'm proud to share with you that all of the extra scion wood at the end of this week is going to be donated to Africa, where they're going to be using the cuttings to create new fig trees there, quality figs that will then be used to feed the hungry. Specifically, I found this post on Facebook and it reads, "Friends, I'm interested in planting fig trees to feed the hungry in Africa. I need seeds and seedlings. Thank you." And for those of you that know figs, you don't start figs by seeding, as the chances that genetics are going to be something of quality are going to be slim. Whereas if you start with a cutting, you're going to get a genetically identical quality fig as that parent plant you took the cutting from. And so that's the preferred way to start. And by grafting that variety onto, for example, this parent rootstock, we're going to get to enjoy all of these different flavors in a very compact, small area, instead of having to plant 10 varieties of figs and just having fig trees in your garden. Instead, we have one fig tree with 10 flavors all in just one area. And that's the value of grafting. And so these particular figs will be going specifically to Uganda and benefiting the Jesus Christ as the Lord Orphan Care Ministry. And if you have any cuttings you'd like to share with them as well, I'm sharing the address with you right here, right now. And you can also find them in a link down below. And so now let's get started. I've decided to put this raspberry latte variety of fig on top of the panache tiger variety of fig right here in the front. As you can see, it started over here as the rootstock. We grafted it right at this particular joint. It has then formed 1, 2, and 3 branches. My goal is to allow the 2 branches to continue fruiting and creating more panache fruit. But the 3rd branch we're now going to convert to this raspberry latte variety of fig. And so let's get started by first cleaning and disinfecting the area where we're going to do the graft. And the method that we're going to use for grafting is going to be called the side, or also known as the veneer graft. And the idea and the concept behind it is we're going to allow some of the plant to continue to exist above, and we're going to graft it off to the side, hence the name side graft or a veneer graft. Again, we're going to allow the upper portion to continue to exist, encouraging the plant to continue supporting the life above the area of the graft. And I would recommend this as my second most favorite method, as the logic behind it is the entire wood structure is still alive below and above the area of the graft, and hopefully encouraging more vascular union between the 2 different woods, compared to the cleft graft, which we're going to do at the end. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do to get started is just using a rubbing alcohol. And I'll apply some to a paper towel. And we're just going to disinfect the side of the graft, like so. And we're going to do the same thing with our scion wood as well. To prepare the graft, I've got here about close to 4 inches of scion wood, which in my opinion is a little bit too long. I'm going to bring that down closer to 3 inches by cutting down to the next node. So I'm here at this node, I'm just going to come up to the next node and cut like so. We're not going to need the node, by the way, as this entire part of the wood is going to be part of the grafted wood, and we're going to hope that these buds are going to turn into the new branches that'll continue the genetics of this raspberry latte variety of fig. So we're going to go here with our razor blade, and again we're going to disinfect the end, and now we're going to create an exposed area of wood. So as you can see, this here is the outer wood protective layer. Just under that is that glowing green cambium tissue that's moving the waters into the sugars, and that entire central structure in that pith is the supporting wood. So we're going to now create a similar cut on this side as well. And that's just going to increase the chances of healing between this cambium layer and that cambium layer on that side. We're going to get that a little bit thinner, like so. And now we're going to prepare what we're going to use as our rootstock, being the Panache Tiger fig. So check this out. So what we're going to do here now is we're coming in at an angle, like so. And we're going to cut into the wood about 50% in towards the pith, towards the center of the wood, and not across 50%. And that's going to encourage the plant to support this graft. Here we go. And now we'll get our scion wood. And now when we insert it, you're not going to want to insert it just down the middle. You're going to want to insert it on the side to maximize the contact between that cambium layer that's underlying the bark of both the rootstock as well as now this the selected variety of scion wood. And now we're going to insert it. Check that out. If you come around the back, but it's not necessary as long as one side is in contact, and we've established very good contact on this side. I'm very pleased with this. Now we're going to secure it together. My preference is using a fishing nylon. It's the way I've always been doing it since I was 13, 14 years of age. And the reason is I can watch the graft, I can watch the callus tissues being formed as I inspect it every, on average, 2 to 3 weeks. And keep in mind, within 6 to 8 weeks, we're going to have a branch that's going to be growing here. Once we see life within this scion wood, we'll then cut the above tiger Panache fig, and we're going to direct all of the resources into this grafted scion wood. And we're going to try to wrap this on as tight as we can, applying pressure about every 2 to 3 wraps. And now it's secure in place. And you can see that the gap now in the back is not as great if you come around the back. You can see here that it's not as great as it was before, and it'll continue to callus and heal over in the upcoming months. The number one reason grafts fail is because they dry out, and most professionals will typically wrap it up in a parafilm to trap moisture. Again, since I was about 12, 13 years of age, my grafting method has always been using a paper towel or a napkin and then re-examining it. Again, like I said, I like to open my grafts every 2 to 3 weeks to see if there's any rotting happening. But what I'll do is, to ensure that my graft is not going to dry out, is I'll wrap it up with a moist paper towel like so. And we're now going to add some clean water to that. To keep the moisture in at the site, we're now simply going to take some plastic wrap and wrap the area to keep the moisture in at the site. And this doesn't have to be 100% airtight or waterproof. The goal is, again, just to keep the moisture there. We're gonna re-examine it every 2 to 3 weeks to make sure there also isn't rotting happening. You might have to change the bandage out. But keep in mind, by the time you change the bandage that second time, maybe 3 times, but it's usually one other bandage I gotta put on in between. But you can expect within that next 3 to 6 weeks, you're gonna see some growth coming out. We're then gonna remove this upper wood, and we're gonna have a new branch to now make this an 8-in-1 fig. And now we're just taking our fishing twine again and securing the plastic in place like so. And that's it. So now we've got raspberry latte on our 7-in-1 fig. This will be now number 8. So now that we've demonstrated the side, also known as the veneer graft, let's go on to another grafting method known as the cleft graft. Let's get started. So I want to thank my friend Joseph with Figs and Things, another Facebook forum where I was able to get my hands on this variety of fig. If you take a look over here, it's called, hopefully I pronounced this right, Bourgeois Noir. And we're going to take some wood off of this very young. It's a 1-year-old cutting. So what we're going to do is simply take a cutting off of this and add that on to our now 8-in-1 fig, making it now number 9. Follow me. So for the sake of pruning it, I'm basically following the nodes up. I always cut about 1/4 inch above the node, and at that node, it'll then bud and the new branch will continue from there. And now let's take the scion wood and attach it onto the fig. Follow me. So here we are with the scion wood, and again, we're gonna disinfect it by cleaning the area. And now let's prepare the wood. Being again that it's too long, I like to have my scion wood somewhere between 2 to 3 inches. A longer wood means there's that much more wood that the rootstock is gonna have to support. So let's bring that down to a smaller size. I'm gonna bring it down to that node. And now let's prepare the wood. Being that we're gonna use this for a cleft graft, what we're gonna do is we're gonna equally expose the wood on both sides, and we're going to try to keep it as equal on both sides of the scion wood. And I like to carefully shave it. As you can see, I'm going back and forth. And the goal is to basically bring the cuts down to a V-shaped cut, starting wide near the top, thinner as you get to the bottom. And now let's prepare the rootstock. Follow me. Again, being that I've got 2 branches of brown turkey, we're going to keep one and remove the other. And we're going to decide to use, I'm going to pick this one over here. We're simply going to cut it like so. And you can see what I've done is there's a node right here. There's a node right there. I'm cutting below the node, so I don't have the interference of the node to cut through. I'll have a nice, easier way of cutting into this wood than I would if I had to go through a node, which is a lot more dense than this elongated wood between the nodes. So now let's cut that in half. And we're gonna go down again the center like so. For the length of the exposed wood on our scion wood, I went maybe a little bit deeper, which I usually err on by going slightly more than less to increase the surface area of exposure. I should have done this first, but I want to also disinfect the area that I'm working with. And now we're going to insert the scion wood. I'm going to clean the tips of these scissors. You can also use a screwdriver. I'm going to try to go in on one side just to pry it open to kind of give me leverage as I slide the scionwood in. And again, you can see that the scionwood is smaller in diameter than the rootstock. And so our goal is to just come down along one of the sides. The goal is to make sure that those cambium tissues are in contact with one another. Again, you can see the backside. No contact over here. Right in this area, there's no contact. So as you can see, there's no contact on this side. We're just focusing on making sure we've got cambium contact on at least one side. And we'll continue inserting that. Like so. And we're in. And now again, you can see as we force it down, there's a little bit more splitting that happened, but when we apply the tie, the splitting will be a lot less significant. So again, we'll go with our fishing twine. And secure that graft in place. We're going to wrap it a few times and then tighten it, wrap it some more, tighten it again. And we're going to secure that knot. And we're done. Now again, to ensure that the scionwood remains moist while those cambium tissues begin to heal, we're going to wrap them now with a damp paper towel. So now we're just going to take our paper towel, wrap it over the scionwood and also all of the wound that we just grafted, and we'll add some moisture. And now we're going to take our plastic wrap, keep that moisture in there. And then we're just going to secure the plastic in place with a little bit of more nylon string. And that's it. That concludes the cleft grafting technique. So we just demonstrated how to do the cleft, also known as the veneer graft. We also just did together another method known as the cleft graft. And again, the concept with it is all of the fluids and the nutrients are going to go from that prune branch into now the scionwood that we've just inserted. And now one other thing I want to share with you is that once the graft takes hold, we're going to want to protect that grafted union. And let me explain that to you over here. So within a few months, we're going to end up with successful grafts such as these. If you come in a little closer, this here is an example of a side, also known as that veneer graft. If you take a look above, this one here is another side veneer graft that we've successfully added. If you come over to this side, this one here is again the Chicago Hardy with the green Isha variety of fig that was grafted on using the approach graft. You can see that this cut right here was to the rootstock, and that this cut over here was from the scionwood that was secured in place, like so, about a year ago. What we're going to do next is we're going to take this product called Ivy Organic, which is 3-in-1 plant guard protection against damaging sunburn insects and rodents, for use on your roses, fruit, nut trees, ornamental trees, and shrubs. And this is registered material for use in organic agriculture. And instead of using paint, because if you put paint on your house 100 years from now, still paint on your house, but you put paint on your trees, and within 1 to 3 years, all of that paint is going to end up in your soil as the bark is going to replace itself new. So what we're going to do is we're now going to protect all of those graft wounds from disease and pests from entering these exposed areas and potentially robbing us and taking us away from the joy of these successful grafts. So we're going to preserve our success by coating with the 3-in-1 plant guard today, and this will protect it for the next 6 to 12 months now. And if it needs more, we'll reapply, but otherwise within 3 to 6 months, within the next 30 to 60 days, these grafts are going to begin growing. That cambium tissue is going to continue growing and callousing and healing, and eventually what's going to happen is it's going to end up looking something more like this. If you come over here, this here is our Cañada variety of fig, and you can see how well it's healed. There's still a remnant of the original rootstock. The scionwood has completely disappeared as the tree trunk is continuously getting wider and basically encasing all of the exposed damaged wood. So from year to year, the evidence of the graft will eventually disappear as the two woods become one. Well, let's continue coating and protecting those wounds. Also, by protecting this exposed wood, we're keeping the risk of beetles and termites entering, otherwise, the heart of the wood, if they enter through these exposed areas. So the goal is to keep these protected until the plant eventually heals over and expands over all of this exposed grafted area. So in this lesson, we discussed the approach or the side graft, which is my favorite graft. And again, you can do it over the greatest number of months in the year, starting with spring and ending all the way in early fall. And then we also discussed the side, also known as the Veneer graft, as well as the Cleft Graft. And those are predominantly methods that you'll be doing in late winter, those last few weeks before the spring flush and you know, that push and bloom that you would expect once the warmer weather comes to your area. So a very small window relative to what you can accomplish with, again, my favorite method being the approach grafting method. If you've enjoyed this educational moment brought to you by Ivory Organics, be sure to give us a thumbs up, and most importantly, by subscribing below, you'll be connected to this and all of our other educational gardening videos. And don't forget to hit that push bell notification as well to get informed as soon as a new video is released. Hoping all of you continue to grow with Ivory Organics, and wishing you all happy gardening.